Welcome to Sunrise Life podcast, where we have deep conversations with fellow freelance models. And today I have Anastasia Maye on the line. Say hello.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're on the line with me. It was so great meeting you a couple years ago at that event, and I've been following your posts ever since.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think we're long overdue for a chat.
Yeah, totally. So where are you right now?
I'm back home in Fairfax, Virginia right now. I'm taking it kind of easy this month, not doing quite as many shoots, not quite as much traveling because my schedule is about to get really crazy next month. So
really?
getting some home time, which has been nice.
That's cool. Where are you going next month?
Well, I'm starting out in Boston or like the New England area, and then I'm going with our friend Rebecca Lawrence on a crazy 3-month cross-country tour to the West Coast and back from September through December. So sure you take it a little easy before then.
That's awesome. I've seen that you guys travel together frequently, and I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're really compatible travel buddies. It's really easy traveling together. And I've never done a trip this long, so I'm both excited and nervous about it.
Ooh, what are you nervous about?
I guess just being on the road for like way longer than I ever have been before.
Yeah. Do you have pets or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a cat. Her name is Muffin. She's a Persian calico cat.
Oh my God.
And my parents usually take care of her while I'm gone, and I think she almost loves them more than me at this point. So I know she's very well taken care of while I'm traveling.
And that's good that you've got somebody that she loves to take care of them. I haven't really had any pets in years because of my traveling. I would feel bad having to get somebody else to take care of them all the time. But I think that's awesome though that they can take care of you. You have a Persian calico?
Yeah, I do.
That's awesome.
She's a cutie. She always looks very serious, but she is not.
Oh, man. So, for our listeners and a little bit for me, would you mind describing how you first got into modeling?
Yeah, so I was 20 years old in college when I first started modeling. It was actually like 3 days before my 21st birthday that I had my first shoot. And my boyfriend at the time lived in Ohio. So I was commuting back and forth from my college in Virginia to Ohio to visit him. And so his sister shot with this one local photographer in Youngstown, Ohio. And I saw her pictures online. I was really inspired and I just asked for his contact information on a whim. A shout out to David Vickers. And for some relevant background information first, at the time I was really struggling with low confidence for a number of reasons. So like a couple years beforehand, I had been put inpatient for anorexia. And by this point, I'd gained back like all the weight that I'd lost plus 20 pounds on top of that. So I had a terrible body image. I had also never had a single person ask me out naturally, like outside of Tinder. So all of this just made me think that something was wrong with me. I had incredibly low self-esteem and I just wanted more than anything to feel pretty and sexy and desirable. So that's why I wanted to do a photo shoot, was just to like boost my self-confidence. So I go to shoot with David. He like taught me some poses. He was really good at directing. He told me a little bit about the industry. And I felt a confidence that I'd never felt before when I saw those photos. So after that, it almost became like an addiction for me. And I just kept doing more and more shoots for my own mental health because I felt like my self-image improved so much after every single shoot I did. And I'd also been a competitive figure skater for 13 years before I went to college. And I quit when I went to college. So I was really missing having something that made me unique, that was like a creative outlet that would let me move and express myself. And this was like the perfect way to do that. So pretty quickly, photographers started asking what my rates were. And I kept modeling part-time all throughout college. And I tried a few, quote, normal jobs here and there. But the only job I really enjoyed was modeling. So I just continued to do it. And I never really had another primary job. The longest normal full-time job I had only lasted like 5 weeks before it drove me absolutely crazy. So here I am over 7 years later, still modeling. And I definitely never thought it would turn into a full-time job when I first started this.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for being like so vulnerable in talking about your past like anorexia issues. I know a lot of people that listen might be really impacted by that, but like you're such an open book.
Oh, yeah, I just went right into it.
Yeah. No, I love that though. Like just straight into the gizzard. Like we don't need to do any icebreakers. This is what's up.
Yep, this is me.
I love that though. And okay, so like I have so many questions about like all the stuff that you just said. So when you first started with that first shoot, you kind of found out about it through connections that, you already had. Did you say that that was your boyfriend's sister or your sister? I'm sorry, I missed it a little bit.
Yeah, it was my boyfriend's sister, and, like, she wasn't a traveling model or anything. I think she just did occasional, shoots with this photographer, but I just saw her photos and I'm like, "Oh my god, she's so beautiful. I wanna be that beautiful." So I just thought I should reach out to him.
Wow. That's great. It's great that you had a connection through somebody who had already worked with that person so you didn't have to worry about like if it was safe or not.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was probably the only great thing that came out of that relationship.
Okay, Marvel. This silver lining on the cloud.
Absolutely.
So after that first shoot, you said that you started working with more photographers. Like, how did you find those next photographers that you started working with?
So I made my own modeling account and just started posting a bunch of the photos that I took with this one photographer. And eventually, like a few more photographers started reaching out and offering me paid shoots. And I took on a few trade shoots for some more creative ideas. And I just really just started putting all my modeling photos on this Instagram. And just more and more people kept reaching out. So it started becoming a job.
Wow. Like every time I do a podcast episode, it's very there's some similarities that come out with almost every interview. And one of them is that if you do a photo shoot and you create an account, representing yourself as a model, you post your modeling photos, more photographers will come. It's just that easy. You just have to enjoy doing it and it'll naturally build, right?
Yeah, and I really was not expecting that at all. Like, I was just posting just to feel good about myself, so I never thought other people would reach out and wanna pay me to do that.
Wow. I almost feel like if you try too hard to make something work just for the money, then that's when it doesn't work. But if you're doing something because you love it, people that want to hire you will naturally come to you. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like most models that I've talked to never really got into this as a full-time job intentionally. It just kinda happened.
Right, right. Like, especially, like, I met you in person. I know that you're not 6 foot or whatever. Like, most of us are shorties, right?
Mhm. Which is so funny because the stereotype is, like, you have to be 6 feet tall, and I'm 5'1" on a good day.
Wow. Wow, you're even maybe a little bit shorter than me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said that you had some insecurity issues and that you like fluctuated with your weight and then you had a photo shoot and then from that point forward you kept on doing shoots. Like how has your relationship with your self-image like developed in the 7 years that you've been modeling?
I mean, it's just gotten infinitely better. I used to just have the worst confidence ever. I thought something was so wrong with me. I thought I was ugly. I thought I no one would ever love me. Like I was like in that whole mindset, right? And
Mhm.
as soon as I started kind of like seeing myself through this other side of the camera after like the edits and the outfits and like learning the poses, I just felt like a completely different person, which was a nice feeling. And it just slowly but surely started to raise my confidence, like not only in my looks, but like in life in general. And it really helped me like socialize a little more and just learn general life skills. Like it really just helped improve my confidence in all areas of my life.
So if you go for like a few weeks and you haven't had a shoot yet, like do you ever feel like, you're craving that, you want to like get that like boost again, like just the reminder of like how awesome you are, how beautiful you are?
Yeah, I do. So like I'll be on the road for like a full month and I'll be like, "Oh, I can't wait till I can go home and like relax and like not shoot for like a week." And then by the end of that week, I'm like going crazy and I'm feeling so bored and like I feel like I need to get back into it already.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel the same after a week or two without any shoots. It's not just that like I want the excitement of going on the road again. It is the self-confidence. I'm like, "Oh, like, is my physicality changing? Like, do I still got it? Am I sliding back? Am I still pretty?" And I do feel like when somebody is good at taking pictures, the pictures that come out, they really are doing a service to the individual and to the world.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel like I'm a different person when I'm not, like, at my shoots modeling. Like, I feel like I'm a part-time hot girl. But, like, when I'm home, I'm just like, that's not my character. So, I kind of start craving to do that again after after going without it for a little bit.
Yeah. Do you feel like how is your separation between your modeling persona and your real life persona? Like, do you feel like those things are meshed or how separated are they?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like I have a similar personality, whether I'm taking on my model persona or just like at home being myself. But at the same time, it still kind of feels like I'm a different person. Like I'm all made up. I feel like I'm more put together. Like I'm showing a side of me that's more put together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it is kind of hard to integrate them, and I kind of like struggle with, I guess, separating the two.
Right. Like how much do you share about your personal life on your modeling page and like what should be kept private?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think all of us have like a different balance of that and I kind of go back and forth on it also.
Yeah, me too. I go through phases where I share a little bit more of my personal life and some phases where I don't really share much of anything. So yeah, it just kind of depends.
So you said that as far as like normal jobs go, like you really haven't like enjoyed having like a regular job. Like what other regular jobs have you tried out and like what didn't work out about them that made modeling more appealing?
So honestly, I have very little normal job experience. So like for a short time in college, I was a hostess at a restaurant. I think that only lasted like 3 months and it was part-time. And let's see, the longest full time job I had was 5 weeks. I graduated with a degree in psychology. So I was like trying to pursue psych related jobs. So this one it was actually in Ohio while I was still with this ex boyfriend. And it was helping to take care of adults with mental disabilities. So I would like be in their home for like the full day. I would drive them to their appointments, help cook them meals, like in some cases like wipe their butts after they leave the bathroom, like stuff like that. And that paid me $10 an hour. And
What?
I did not enjoy it whatsoever. I just really started realizing that I was not cut out for the 9 to 5 lifestyle. And I really wanted to have more control over my own schedule, and I thought it would feel more fulfilling than it actually did. And then so that was, like, the longest full-time job I had. That was 5 weeks before it drove me crazy, and then I had one other that lasted for a total of 4 days, and I was a counselor at an inpatient men's drug facility, and I couldn't take it after 4 days. Like, I had all these, like, big, scary-looking men coming up to me and, like, talking about how they'd been stabbed and how their girlfriends had been abused and, like, all this, like, awful stuff that I couldn't even last a week.
Wow. Dude, that's intense. The elderly care that you worked at for 5 weeks, $10 an hour for the services that you described, like, that kind of pay is like that's what they pay McDonald's employees. I think McDonald's employees make more, and that's, like, no skill, no college degree, like, I don't know what's going on with the pay scale there, but they need to ramp that up for real.
It was awful, and, like, there should have been more people working with me. Like, I would take some of these girls out for, like, an outing, but, like, one of them would decide to, like, purposefully fall, and she was, like, twice my weight. So I would have to go, like, get a complete stranger to come help me take care of her and get her back in her wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
It was driving me insane. I was not in a good place doing that job, and I was making so much more doing, like, 2 modeling gigs than I did in, like, a week of doing that.
Wow. So you have a college degree.
I do. I majored in psychology and I minored in women, gender, and sexuality studies.
That's cool. Like, do you think that sometime in the future you'll ever like utilize that in your like when you're, I guess, done modeling? I don't want to ever imply that somebody's gonna be completely finished, but like, I think that there's like we all got to diversify. At some point, do you think you'll like do something with your psych degree?
Honestly, I don't really think so. So, like, really, the only reason I majored in psych was because I had no idea what I wanted to do as a job at all. And the first thing that seemed like mildly really interesting to me was psychology. So, just because I was like interested in the study of it, I was like, okay, I guess that'll be my major. But I never really thought about how I would do working in that field until I very briefly like dipped my toe in that field. And I think I just really enjoy learning about it. I enjoy learning about the brain and how people think, but I don't think that I am a good fit to be like to work in that field.
Yeah, and I mean, like the kind of work that you had like in that field it sounded like you kind of jumped right into the deep end with like the men's facility with like the people with the abuse and the drugs and then the elderly people who needed like lots of like that's a lot.
It was a lot with very little training.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I would think maybe just being like a couples counselor or maybe something like that. I don't know if that's easier or not, but
Yeah, I think I'm just not cut out for counseling in general.
right. Because we kind of have to become a therapist a little bit in our job anyway.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm sorry. I feel I'm good at listening to people, but I'm not particularly great at giving them advice on like how to solve their problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Listening is valid. Do you ever feel like you're psychoanalyzing the photographers that you work with?
Maybe to an extent, but probably not as much as people would think with a psych major.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very curious. I guess like I don't know like how I would go with that. Obviously, I haven't like done that in college, so but like anybody that tells me that they have a psych major, I'm like, "Oh, are you psychoanalyzing me right now?"
Mhm. No, I wouldn't really say I am. I mean, I'm kind of just drawing my own conclusions, but probably I don't know, just as much as anyone else would.
Right on. So, as you've been modeling and traveling for the last 7 years, I'm sure that you've had some crazy experiences. And I do have an opportunity on these shows to share some of your most notable experiences. You can share stories that is like crazy because it's funny, or crazy because the photographer did something like weird or inappropriate, or funny or great. What is one or more of your memorable modeling escapades?
So there are so many, but I think the one that comes to my head first is the modeling event where the organizer threatened to sue me afterwards. That So I'll give you some background on this photographer slash organizer. So he's a very blacklisted photographer who still runs events in the DMV area. He's incredibly possessive. He refers to models that he works with, like in his close circle, as his official models. Well, we've been talked about on this podcast, though. And prior to this shoot, we already were having issues. Like he got angry at me calling him out for being possessive like that. He had told me I should lower my rates because my portfolio didn't have a niche, while at the same time, he would tell the more inexperienced model sitting next to me that her rate should be higher than mine. I'd heard him talk shit about other models. I'd witnessed him literally make people cry. And he just generally exhibits a ton of narcissistic qualities. So looking back, I should have stopped working with him far sooner. But nevertheless, I decided to attend his big shootout event because I thought it would be good social networking and like a good money making opportunity. So, and this was like a big shootout event with dozens of models, dozens of photographers. It was like really big. So I end up shooting with this different photographer during the event. And while he was shooting me, he was like filming me doing some behind the scenes. And then he straight up grabbed my ass. And at that point, I was really not used to being assertive at all. I was still like somewhat of a baby model. And so I definitely tended to have a fawn response. So I told this photographer, like, don't touch me. But I continued shooting with him just very uncomfortably. And I finished the shoot. So I finished shooting with him. And then I start hearing that other models at the event had very similar experiences. And I even heard that this photographer allegedly tried to lick a model's vagina while shooting with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was absolutely fuming at this point, and I go with this other model to tell the organizer what had happened because, like, if as the event organizer, it's your job to handle any situation involving sexual harassment or assault. So I go to tell him what happened, and his response was so ridiculous. His response was, "Oh, he's fine. This is probably just a cultural thing."
What? Cultural
A
thing?
cultural thing. I'm like, this is not a cultural thing. This is literally a man sexually assaulting multiple models at your event. So, and he just like completely brushed it off. And he told me that if it really bothered me that much, that I should have stopped the shoot and called the police. But like, what model would want to call the police into an event with dozens of naked women, like some of whom did sex work outside the event? Like, the police would unfortunately probably not side with the models and
Mhm.
halt the entire event, and it would cause a huge scene and just like ruin everyone's day. So no one's about to like call the police for someone grabbing their butt.
Yeah.
So then like I go home that evening and I start ranting to my best friend about what happened because I'm so angry, and I'm just angry about how it was handled. So she ends up making a post on her Instagram story, and she warns people about that photographer that had touched me. And the organizer saw this story post and he immediately messaged me and he asked if I made her post that. And I was like, I didn't tell her to make any posts. I was just ranting to my best friend about my shitty experience. And so then after that, he proceeds to threaten to sue me for libel and slander and tells me that we can't work together anymore. And
What?
yeah. I'm like, what? Like, how is this libel and slander? I didn't even make the post. And also, everything I'm saying actually happened and is true.
Uh-huh.
But, and this man has sent out multiple cease and desist letters to models who speak out against him.
Yeah.
And this is a rumor, and I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard at some point that he was actually having his real estate agent send those out for him.
Oh my God, I think I heard that too. And obviously, I know exactly who you're talking about. Anybody listening to this, we're not going to name names on the podcast so we don't get sued, but you can DM us or whatever, and we'll tell you. Yeah.
So, like, the next day of the event, I cancel my shoots and I stay home. I only had like 2 shoots anyway. But he apparently apologized to everyone else about this man's behavior, but of course not to me. And I just never worked with him again. And a few of my close friends also don't work with him anymore just because of what happened that day. And I never ended up getting sued because everything I spoke out about was true. And I don't think I even ever used his real name while I was talking about this.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly grateful that it happened because I feel like I'm a lot more assertive when I need to be now. I can like stand up for myself better and I can more easily recognize the red flags for the like narcissistic and predatory behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes easier to point out the more you communicate with photographers or like, yeah, like that particular guy, like he puts on a front. Like he looks like on his social media looks very approachable, always going live and like, chumming up the camera, like, oh, everybody's having a good time, right? But then you hear about all this other fucked up shit that's going on in the background.
Yep. And initially, he makes you feel great about yourself. Like, he's very charismatic. He's like, he gives you lots of compliments. He like raises you up only to tear you down later on and make you feel insecure and feel like you need to rely on him to help get you jobs and help make money. And
That's so stupid.
it's awful. So that was one of my most crazy experiences for sure. But I have several others I can talk about as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, let's break this one down a little bit. And then if you want, like we can bust into another one. But one thing about this particular workshop organizer is that lots of people still work with him. And it's baffling when somebody is very outed. Like, how do you yeah, we can't control the world, but like it sucks because it's like if you name somebody for doing something shitty, like you could get sued. So we all have to like say it behind closed doors or whatever. But like, what can be like, if anybody out there has advice on like what more can be done, like, yeah, please let us know. But like,
It's wild that people still work with him because I also know several photographers that won't shoot with people who work with him at all
yeah.
because they don't want to be associated in the first place.
Yeah. Right. Like after you hear, like if you work with a model as a photographer and like you care about them as a person, you want to, support their career or like shoot with them when you can and stuff, then you find out that somebody else was really abusive to this person that you worked with that you care for, then like naturally, if you're a human with empathy, like you would hope to not support the person who's being abusive. So, like anybody that participate the photographers that participate in that event are complicit also because a lot of people know that there's fucked up shit going on. They're not doing anything about it because they're benefiting from participating in the event in their own selfish way.
Yeah. And that drives me crazy. And I feel like I really learned from this whole experience. Like, I just steer clear of anyone that has any sort of allegations or blacklisted. Like, even if I know one person that had an okay experience with them, if I hear another person had a terrible experience, like, I'm not going to associate myself with them.
Yeah. I want to take a short little break to tell you about Model Society. ModelSociety.com is a website dedicated to featuring figurative fine art photography for models and photographers. What makes them different than other portfolio hosting websites is that some of those other websites will still host kind of tacky photography or exploitative photos. Model Society screens all of their contributors for quality and authenticity. So you only get the best of the best on there. If you're not a photographer or model, you can still enjoy and appreciate Model Society because they also have newsletters and magazines featuring their best work and new articles each week. Check it out, modelsociety.com. I will also include a link to Model Society in the show notes. All right, now back to our show. Right. And something that I've kind of like started to be concerned about is that male photographers that run events or workshops a lot of them are like, a little bit shady in some kind of a way. I'm not saying all of them are, but like I I am pretty like skeptical of workshops today because I've worked with a bunch that like, you might have an okay time initially, but then something will come up either at the event or just after the event as a result of it where you're like, "Oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that shoot."
Yeah, I generally do not have fun at workshops anymore. Like, I used to think they were like such great opportunities and like so good for networking, but like I have yet to encounter a really, really good workshop specifically run by a man.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few and I've done some workshops where like there was nothing weird about the workshop, but like you know, at the same time, it's like if 7 or 8 people are signing up, that organizer is profiting a ton and you're just getting your regular rate. So it kind of feels a little bit like you're doing all the work and all they did was like send out a newsletter saying, all right, she's going to be at the studio. And they'll set up the lights and stuff. But like workshops are a lot harder work than just working one on one with a photographer.
Yeah, and a lot of them are not even workshops. They like advertise them as workshops, but there ends up not being any sort of teaching element to them. So it ends
Yeah.
up being more of a shootout.
Yeah.
And
Like everybody's getting a cheaper rate to work with you than they normally would have. And a lot of people are taking the same photos of you, like, in the same outfit on the same set. And then everybody wants you to post their photos. And you're like, well, if 8 of you took the same picture, that means I have to pick my favorite to post because I'm not going to post. Then it is kind of weird, but having a teaching element or something where the organizer brings some kind of value beyond just here's the model that it's harder to come by.
yeah, exactly. I think I've had a few okay ones that were like a much smaller scale ones where like you got the main organizer doing a bit of teaching and you have like 2 or 3 other photographers there that are kind of learning. But
Yeah.
in terms of like really large scale workshops or events. I don't know. It's hard to find really reliable, great ones these days.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I'm a lot pickier on workshops now because of that, because I'm just like, I feel like I could run my own event, you know? Like, if the organizer isn't, like, doing anything beyond, "Here's the location and the model," I'm like, "Well, I could get my own location and, you know, charge, like, 10 photographers a certain fee and make a ton of money instead of just making my normal rate." Like, what's my incentive for working for some guy's workshop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you have another crazy story on your mind that you wanted to share?
Oh, yeah, I have a bunch.
Throw it at me.
Okay, let me see. So this one was probably my first experience actually being scared for my safety at a shoot. And I was still a baby model, so I was like still pretty brand new. So I was hired to shoot like fashion and lingerie with this amateur photographer. And I work with amateur photographers all the time. He seemed totally fine, very nice, very respectful while we were shooting in the public park. So everything there went fine. And then we go home to his home studio to shoot lingerie. And that's when he starts getting really, really weird. And he starts calling me pet names like honey, sweetie, baby. And I'm asking him like multiple times not to call me that. I'm pretty sure he thought that like the flirty expressions I was doing for the photos was me actually flirting with him.
Oh my god.
Right. And again, this was like when I was a baby model, I didn't have an assertive bone in in my body yet, and I didn't know how to really enforce boundaries, and I didn't like leave when I should have. So he keeps shooting me. We shoot a lot later than we had planned, and then when I finally insist that I need to leave, he has me make a testimonial video about how my experience was working with him.
Oh.
Which is so uncomfortable because obviously you're not going to get honest feedback from models because they just want to get away from you at that point. And it could be honestly unsafe to say that you had a terrible experience while you're still in the same room with them.
Yeah.
So I give this like fake positive testimonial because I'm like kind of nervous at this point. And then I'm like still trying to leave. And he insists on getting me gifts before I go. So
What?
he leaves the room and he comes back with this huge basket of like soaps and lotions and perfumes, like basically a Bath and Body Works gift set. And then he starts begging me to spend the night with him. And he's saying, "Oh, like please, please, like I'll pay you whatever you want, like whatever you want, as long as you spend the night, like any amount, you just tell me." And he like keeps going on and on about it. And that's when I start feeling super, super unsafe. And then he says, "Can I ask you a question?" And he asks if he can kiss me. I'm like, absolutely not. And so then he tries to go in for a hug. And I'm trying to like get out the door at this point. And I come so close to kneeing him in the balls because he like didn't pull away when I tried to pull away from the hug initially. So like another second and I probably would have kicked him. But yeah, and then I blocked him as I was pulling out of his driveway. And I'd really like to think that today I would have just walked out the door as soon as he started with the pet names and avoided all those other uncomfortable moments. But I definitely don't tolerate nearly as much as I used to.
Wow. That's sketch. But yeah, I mean, a lot of us, especially early in our career, have like these like awful experiences. Like, it's just like, dude, take a hint, you know? Like, you're telling him stop calling me that, like right at the beginning. Like, how do people not take the hint that you're not into them?
It was wild. And I think he really confused just like the expressions I was giving the camera for like actually flirting with him.
That's, I mean, oh my God, it's such a tragedy that some people just don't have the social skills to like understand like what's going on with the person in front of them because they're just overtaken by their like horniness or whatever.
Right, and I felt like I was so obviously not interested. I was so obviously just wanting to get out of there and finish the shoot. And and I feel like this is like kind of a common crazy experience with a lot of models, just like photographers wanting them to be sex workers by the end of the shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely happened to me, but, like, the longer I'm on it like, I similarly had, like, a really high tolerance for, like, weirdos and creepy behavior, and I would, like, stick it out and, like, get through a shoot, just kind of like what you described with this scenario and, like, just do the shoot, end it, and then get out of there. But today, my tolerance for creepiness is, like, gone. Like, I had the highest tolerance for such a long time, and I was like, "What's wrong with these other models that can't deal with, like, somebody calling them a pet name or, like, if they try to grab your ass, just, like, don't let them." Like, but now I'm just like, "Fuck that. I don't wanna be in that environment. I don't wanna have those feelings where I have to be protective of myself. I just wanna feel safe and happy and creative, not, like, creeped out and, like, in danger."
Yeah, same. Definitely a lot more selective with my shoots now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But I think it just comes with, like, the repetition of the creepy things happening over and over again, and I think it did affect my overall, like, sense of happiness and well-being, and that's when I started just, like, saying no to, like, certain photographers who would I don't know, a lot of them have, like, things that they say in their first message to you, like, "Hey, what are your limits?" Like, stuff like that, like.
Yeah, you get better at recognizing those immediate red flags.
Yeah. Like, what's another red flag that you can think of when in the first communication with somebody where you're like, "Yeah, I'm not even gonna respond."
Oh, if they just text, "Hey,"
Oh, man.
if
Hey.
I see it's like a photographer, like, I just won't respond to one-word messages. Like, you weren't respectful in that.
Right, like, I'm just sitting here waiting for somebody to give me attention and that you finally said, "Hey." Oh, great. Like.
I'm better at, like, calling photographers out to their face now, where, like, I used to not be able to do that at all, and traveling with other models has really helped me with that because I see them, like, calling them out and standing up for themselves, and I'm like, "I should be doing that more." So, I was very proud of myself actually at my last little workshop, that I straight up called this one photographer mean,
Oh.
which, like, I never would have done, like, 3 years ago, but I was just like, "You have to stop being so mean to me right now."
Wait, how was he being mean?
He was, like, barking orders at me. So, like, he never wanted me to look away from the lens, and I'm
Oh.
kinda used to, like, giving some eye contact and then doing some more candid looking photos, so I was, like, looking down, and instead of asking me, like, "Oh, hey, can you look at the camera?" He'd be like, "Eyes up here!" Like, he would yell it.
Jeez.
And it was just a whole bunch of incidences like that that just got on my nerves so much that eventually, like, I snapped at him. And I was honestly proud of being able to do that because, like, I used to never talk back to any photographer, even if they really annoyed me. So I am
Right.
getting
How did he handle that?
he just kind of, like, rolled his eyes and he, like, talked back to me a little bit, but I just kinda kept pushing him and telling him he should be nicer, like, that is not an appropriate way to talk to someone you're hiring.
Yeah, or anybody. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're trying to take pictures of somebody and you want the pictures to be good. Like, if you're, like, belittling or being demanding or barking at your model, like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like.
And this guy's pissed me off so much, like, he and the, like, organizer of this event like to, like, I don't know, give each other insults, but, like, in a funny bro way. But, like, one of the ones that he said, he was like, "Oh, like, so and so is being such a female right now." I got so mad. I got so mad at that one.
What? Are you guys hiring a female model? Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. I'm like, "You're"
Why don't y'all just take each other's picture if you hate women so much?
right? I really had no words after that one. I was so pissed off. I'm like, "That is so disrespectful to me."
And this is another workshop.
Yep, it was a workshop. And at one point, the same guy also, like, insisted I shoot with this, like, 10-pound frame, like, hold it around my head. And it was so heavy that, like, I couldn't hold it up for more than, like, a minute or 2 at a time. And he was trying to reposition it in a way where, like, it would be easier. And he ends up dropping this thing right on my head with, like, no apology. Like, yeah, this was the last workshop I did. This is why I don't like workshops.
Oh my God. Workshop organizers that might be listening, take note. Like if you want to be an ethical, good workshop organizer, do go the extra mile to make your model feel welcome, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And call out the photographers at your event that are acting poorly.
Yeah. And if somebody's blacklisted, don't let them sign up for your workshop. Yeah. I had an experience. One of the last workshops that I did in Sacramento, blacklisted photographer was on the roster and I didn't find out until afterwards. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to be in this guy's portfolio. Like, he's blacklisted. Why did you invite him? And the guy's response was, well, there's two sides to every story.
Oh.
Yeah.
And usually the side that is true are all the girls telling, like, just saying how awful his behavior has been.
Yeah, but the main issue was there was a lot of models that had similar fucked up stories about this one blacklisted photographer. And it's like, well, if a lot of different people had a similar experience with one person, like, there's got to be like a thread of truth going on there.
Yeah, exactly. I can see being like a little bit skeptical if it's just like one person's view versus another, but like if it's multiple girls coming out about the same guy, it's generally true.
Yeah. Oh, and then the workshop organizer said, well, his money's green. So I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You care more about the money than, oh my God.
And that does seem to be a trend. Like people will invite blacklisted people to their workshops just because their money's the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them if they make anyone else uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right. Or perpetuate like fucked up behavior. Man. Woo. All right. Switching gears, I have another question that I also ask every model on the show. And sometimes by the time we get to this point, we've already talked about it or at least touched on it. But can you describe a situation where you were faced with a challenge that you had to overcome?
Yeah, so I already talked a bit about overcoming self confidence issues through modeling. And I think the challenge I want to talk about now has to do more with my family's acceptance of this job, which I know a lot of us have had similar issues with.
Yeah.
When I first started modeling, I was still in college. I got into art nude work pretty quickly. My parents had seen a lingerie photo of me and didn't approve. So they told me that if I wanted them to keep paying for my college, that I'd have to stop modeling for good. And I told them I would with no intention of actually quitting. And they absolutely knew this because they literally hired a private investigator to make sure I was not still modeling.
What?
And also, they're not religious whatsoever. Like, they describe themselves as devout atheists. And I grew up seeing a whole bunch of nude art around our house, but I think it was very different when it was their own daughter making the nude art.
Wow.
And so this private investigator finds a nude photo of me and like a glam bikini photo, and he sends those to my parents. And they send those to me. And again, they said they wouldn't keep giving me financial help if I continued shooting. And I knew I was already in a position of like immense privilege anyway to have them pay for my college. And a lot of my friends were taking loans and taking on the cost themselves. So I was like, I think it's worth following my dream and just like paying for my own college if they don't want me to keep doing what I love. So I told them I'd pay for my own college. And I think that was one of the first times in my life that I really prioritized myself and stood up for myself and my own interests and goals and what I wanted to do. And so their flabbers were gasted at this. And they definitely were not expecting me to say that at all. And surprisingly, they did continue to help me with my college. But between that and dating a guy that they absolutely despised for good reason, honestly, I barely spoke with them for a few years. And I even stopped speaking with my grandmother because she had threatened to take me out of her will if I continued modeling, which she never actually did.
Oh my God. Why? What's the problem?
They were just really unhappy with me doing anything that was like risque or like showing skin. Like they really didn't want that to be my career path.
Wow.
I also come from a family of like a bunch of Ivy Leaguers who are like anesthesiologists and ER doctors, and like they work for the UN. So like they were expecting a much different life path for me. So it was just like a really big challenge learning to balance family dynamics with modeling. And like at first, I just kind of cut them out for not supporting me. But over the years, we started reconnecting. And at first, I just avoid the topic of modeling entirely, which was really, really difficult because it became such a huge part of my life. And by that point, it was like really ingrained as part of my personality.
Yeah.
And my parents would like, they kept pushing the idea of the importance of having a 9 to 5 job and that I should get a job with benefits and a healthcare package and 401k. And like, they thought that was much better and safer for me to do. And a big part of me believed them. So, like, on several occasions, I applied to these quote normal jobs. And of course, as we said, like, the longest of which I kept for 5 weeks. Yes. But I was like, I was feeling super invalidated with my career choice. But like, at the same time, I knew I would absolutely hate my life if I had a 9 to 5. But like eventually I made a whole lot more friends who did this full time, and like I met a lot more experienced models who kind of helped mentor me, and I started feeling really confident in my decision to keep pursuing modeling, and I felt like much less alone in this career path. And I have to say, like, even though I was pretty confident a couple years ago, your podcast really helped also validate this for me even more. So like over time, I kind of started showing my family some very tame, creative portraits without even like a hint of cleavage. Like they were very tame, and they slowly kind of started coming around. And we've like since talked about it, and they support what I do as long as it makes me happy now. And my mom even like will send me creative outfit ideas, but also, like, at first, I think they thought I wasn't doing much work at all. Like, they thought the job was literally just sitting in front of the camera and smiling. But, like, more recently, they've actually seen the amount of time I spend on admin work and planning tours, and they've seen my crazy multi-month long tour schedules. And I think they are kind of finally understanding that I'm actually running a business, and they respect that more. So I don't like go into detail about my shoots with my family anymore, but they know I do nude modeling, and they're finally pretty supportive, and that's been such a relief. And we're actually pretty close now, so it ended up working out.
That's I had a similar dynamic with my dad. And it's just that it's such a hard thing for anybody else to understand what freelance modeling is and the work that goes into it and the community that comes along with it, that if you just think it's like, oh, like my daughter just wants to be a hot girl and not have to work a day in her life and just get her picture taken, then I can see why people like kind of look down their nose at that. But it's just like anything, like there is a lot of work and you do have to have a business ethic in order to you know, do this full time.
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. They really did think I just kind of wanted to be a hot girl with like who wasn't really working. Like I think that's what they thought initially.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
Like regular like W-2 type jobs, like I think that it's really good that those exist for like the majority of people who like need that level of structure and a paycheck, and like that's great. Like that reliability and that structure is great for, but like having a boss and like having a stressful job, I can't do that shit either. And my dad was trying to force me to work at the post office for years. Like, you want me to work at the post office? Like, what do you like? I'm gonna become depressed. Like, that would suck.
Yeah, that I would hate that.
He does so much. Yeah, and it's so interesting hearing that your parents are self-proclaimed devout atheists, because so often I want to like throw religion under the bus and be like, it's because of religion that people are against modeling or nudity or whatever. But it's interesting to hear that even though your parents had like nude art around, that they still looked down upon what you were doing.
Yeah, I think they associated it more with like the porn world than the art world.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever really shown them like some really artistic nudes that I've done. but I'm curious if they would have like a different interpretation of that now, but
Yeah.
still don't really show them anything like that.
Like, as your daughter, I can see them not wanting to see those photos, but I wonder if, like, showing photos of, like, any of your friends that do artistic news that are, like, basically the same kind of work that you do, I wonder if that would have any impact.
Mhm. That's interesting. I don't know. I might just experiment with that sometime.
Yeah. Alright, so are you friends with your parents on Facebook, on your modeling page?
No, they're blocked.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Like, I had my dad blocked on Facebook for a long time because we were beefing about, like, I don't know, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was really rebellious and whatever. I didn't talk to my dad that much, but eventually I, like, unblocked him and I would, you know how on Facebook you can filter, like, what certain people see? I mean, I still filter certain posts so that my dad can't see them. Like, I don't want him to be seeing full lingerie posts on Facebook, but, like, I've started unfiltering certain things, and what I discovered is that when he sees the comments on the photos and them of being other photographers or models that are like, wow, I love the light in this, or like, this is so creative. And I think that he is more worried about like what other people in the world perceive me as. And so he started coming around, and it took like at least 5 years after I told him that I modeled nude to finally start like accepting what I did.
That's interesting that he cared more about what other people thought about it.
Well, my dad is religious and he goes to church. And when I first spilled the beans about my nude modeling to him, initially was like, "Oh, I accept you." But then he went home and he talked to his church friends and emailed me saying that he was freaked out and he joined a support group for parents of kids who are in sex trafficking. So like, I think like being able to describe like what each of his kids do for a living is important, you know. So one of my sisters is a nurse, one of my sisters is a loan officer, and then what am I, right?
Right. Yeah, that's how I feel at family events.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to describe because if he just says that she's a model, then people have questions like, "Oh, what kind of modeling?" Like, "Oh, what is she published in?" Like, "What's her agent?" You know?
And then the family members being like, well, what are you going to do in 10 years when you can't do this anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, people ask, even photographers who are hiring me ask me that. What are you going to do 5 years from now? And I'm like, well, 5 years ago, I was wondering the same thing, and I'm still doing this, and I'm pretty successful still. So I'm still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the industry has really changed to where you can keep doing this for longer periods of time. You
Yeah.
don't care as much anymore that you have to be like 21.
Yeah, right. And you travel with Rebecca, and Rebecca is really open about her age. Like, she just celebrated her birthday publicly all over social media, and she's successful, and people love working with her, you know? So, like, it doesn't matter if you're 40, like, we're still slamming it.
Yeah, she's still in so much demand. So that's just really inspiring for me.
Yeah,
I'd continue doing this for a long time.
yeah. And there are models that are older than me that I look up to, and I'm like, "Okay, I still got it. I'm still in demand. People still wanna work with models that are of my age and experience level." And part of me wonders, like, like, the older I get, like, are the models that have been doing this for a long time that are older than me, are they gonna phase out? But, like, a lot of us are just still going and still in demand, so it makes me, like, feel like I have oh my god, what's the word? Like, a duty to the models that are slightly younger than me to continue being the inspiration to them because there's other people older than me that are still killing it, so I think that because we inspire each other, like, why not keep going?
Yeah, exactly. Y'all are still in like so much demand, and I still hear photographers talk so positively about like you and Rebecca and like more like the OG traveling models. Like
Yeah.
everyone's got nothing but amazing things to say, and they're still in such high demand. So
Yeah.
it, it is very inspiring for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like Liz Ashley, Anusha Nu, like there's lots of models that are like older models that people love working with. And like let's all just keep going, why not? And like we all can like make art news. Like if people don't want to shoot our face or whatever at a certain point, then we all can do the artsy stuff. Like I don't think there's any limit to age when it comes to like fine art.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you again so much for like doing this. Like we're coming close to the end of our hour. Is there anything else that you would like to bring up before we end the podcast?
Nothing in particular.
Got any cities that you want to promote that you're going to be traveling to?
Yeah, so I'll be in the New England area September 3rd through 8th. And then I'm doing a huge cross country tour with model Rebecca Lawrence. We're starting that in late September and we're going all the way till like almost till Christmas time. So it's like a 3-month cross country tour from the East Coast to the West Coast, a little bit in the South. I have my travel schedule posted with each of my posts on Instagram. So if you'd like to check that out and see if I'm coming to one of your cities soon, please don't hesitate to reach out.
If you guys are coming to Phoenix, like let me know.
Yeah, I think we do have plans to be near Phoenix.
Cool. Yeah, Phoenix. It's a good city, and you might get good bookings here. It kind of is like good at times and then not good at other times. I think that people just kind of work in waves here, it seems. But yeah, there's a lot of photographers here.
I'm so excited. Like I've always wanted to go to Arizona and I've never gotten the chance. So
Oh, you've never been? You haven't been?
no, not yet. There are a whole lot of states on this tour that I'll be crossing off my list for the first time. So
Cool.
very excited about it.
That's rad. I'm excited for you. I mean, like the Southwest is just so much different than the Northeast. Both are really good. There's definitely a lot more photographers on the East Coast in a denser area, but there's something to be said about the nature in the Southwest for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing hopefully a lot of nature shoots there.
Rad. Awesome. Well, Anastasia, I'm really happy with this whole podcast episode. Thank you so much for being such an open book and like sharing like your vulnerable side, your crazy stories. And I'm going to do my best to have this podcast episode out by tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.